Hello and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Tank. I'm your host, Tyler Rains, and I am joined by my co-host, Alex Fortadall. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. If you're coming back, welcome back. Now, you may have noticed that last week we didn't upload, and I'm very sorry for that. We'll get to why in a little bit, but we're back for another episode of Inside the Tank. Like I said, we're going to cover a dominant win on Friday night and a not so dominant loss on Sunday afternoon. So, 1-1 on the weekend. Could be better, but all in all, it was a pretty good weekend. Alex, how are you feeling, buddy?
Well, after that game against Niagara, you would, I'm feeling pretty good. Of course, they did lose to a Shane Wright-less Kingston Frontenac team. It just goes to show that their depth can rise to the occasion whenever he's not around. But you know what? That 9-1 victory against Niagara was pretty fun to watch, I will say.
I think this, in a way, I think that the game against Kingston was pretty fun too, but this end result wasn't super fun. Without further ado, why don't we get into talking a little bit about that crazy, thwomping, ass kicking? I don't know what you want to call it.
It was a bloodbath. It was a massacre. I call that a massacre.
That was a massacre, to say the very least.
It was a massacre. Yeah. Well,
starting off the game, Joe Ranger gets to start for the Steelheads. And by the way, he has been phenomenal.
Thank God.
This whole season, he's just been nothing short of impressive. Like,
he's very
people had their doubts going into the season about him, and he's proven everybody wrong. So kudos to Joe Ranger for rising to the occasion and just staying solid this whole season.
At least he's going to get more games than last season. He's on pace for it, at least.
Exactly. And as we know, Tucker Tynan got dealt to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Josh Rosenzweig takes
the that's such a bad idea.
That was awful. But I mean, hey, they're a rebuilding team, right?
Sure, but they could have gotten more out of that, really. A third-round pick in 2024. Come on.
That's a whole other story for a whole other day, which
that's true.
That might be coming sooner rather than later. But Josh Rosenzweig got the start for Niagara, and oh geez. First minute of the game, there's already a penalty. And it was a bad one. Aiden Castle, a check to the head. I believe it was on Charlie Callahan.
I think it was on Callahan too, but Castle, check to the head with 58 seconds in the game.
Look, I expected them to be chippy going into this one, but man, that was a bad penalty.
It was kind of dumb, especially from a guy like Aiden Castle, who's some regard as a decent prospect for this year's NHL for the upcoming NHL draft. So that's not a great look on him, and
you never expected to come from him at all. That's completely uncharacteristic of him to do.
Like, he can be physical, but he's not like trying to take your head off.
A headhunter.
But you know what I will say? If I'm playing for Niagara and the team's absolute garbage, I wouldn't be thrilled about.
Yeah, this year is not the finest year.
It's not.
So you know what? Most of the first period was, let me count it up here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 penalties. 4 or 5 of them were on Niagara, and then 2 of them, of course, the Steelheads took. Vecchia got a diving penalty. When do you ever see diving penalties anymore?
Diving penalties should be in football.
You never do.
It should be in soccer/football, not diving. Well,
exactly. Like, you never see the diving penalties anymore. Pruder took one for cross-checking. That was a little bit of a dumb penalty, but I mean, hey, we all take those ones, right?
We all take them, especially given Niagara was really physical in that game. Look at the penalties by the first period. That's 6 penalties by Niagara in the first. Actually, no, 7. 7 Niagara penalties just alone in the first period. 2 of them from Liam Van Loon. Yeah, if Hamilton doesn't want you, something's wrong right there. I'm sorry.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
one of those penalties that was taken by Cameron Butler in the first period, that was that high sticking call, Owen Beck. And man, has he been impressive this year. By the way, we just finished up our giveaway, which Alex is going to be announcing the winners very soon.
Or at least,
by
the time this comes out, the winners will already have been announced. We'll try that. But yeah,
he had an absolute beautiful snipe. Luca Del Belbaluz and Ethan Del Mastro getting the assists. You want to talk about pure talent and a great shot? Owen Beck is one of the most underrated shots in the league.
Yeah, no, I didn't. When the Steelers drafted him in the second round in 2020, if you told me that we were getting a point per game player who is all over the ice and majority of the time, whatever he does is spot on. His hockey IQ is incredible. His wrist shot is one of the best in the league. I'd say you're laughing. I would genuinely, I would say you were joking, but that specific goal, it was an absolute beauty goal. It was beautiful.
It's the hand eye. It's the hand eye on this.
It is the hand eye. Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, he is going to be whoever he gets picked by in the NHL draft this year. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, absolutely.
By the way, as you're watching this, he is tied with Shane Wright for most points in the, or no, sorry, tied with who was it for rookie scoring?
It's not Shane Wright. I Shane Wright was rookie last year. I wish
at one point he had more points.
I'm going to take a quick. Absolutely no. I'm going to take a quick look. So Ty Nelson. So he's currently second in the OHL in rookie scoring, but after that hat trick game that he just had, he was tied for first with Vinzez Rower.
It's such a weird name to pronounce. Vincent's Roar, I think.
Roar of Ottawa. I will say though, if you take a look at the points and games played, Beck has been better this season than him, because 22 points in 28 games is very good as a rookie. But I'll take a guy who has 21 points in 24 games, shorter amount of games played, but it's only a 1 point differential. And Ty Nelson, who is probably still my favorite to win rookie of the year, 22 points in 27 games. He's incredible. But Beck, has more points than Matthew Poitras, who people say should be a first round pick. I don't know about that. Cedric Guignon, I thought it was Guindon, my bad. Bryce McConnell Barker, Quinton Musty, Matthew Soto, right? Like big prospects in terms of either this year's draft or next year's draft. So the fact that Beck is producing at a much more better rate is pretty surprising, especially compared to a guy like Callum Ritchie, who is on an Oshawa team that is known for developing incredible players and is always known for always competing no matter what year, So
exactly. I think that he's him amongst Luca Del Belbaluz, James Hardy, and excuse me, and Zach Lavoie have been the most impressive this year, I think, for forwards.
That's true.
After that Beck goal, we not even 5 minutes later get a Luca Del Belbaluz goal. Once again, that I will keep saying this as many times as I need to say it. That first line is a masterpiece.
It is a pretty good first line.
Like, that was props to JR and the coaching staff for putting that line together, because that was just amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go another couple minutes. Steelheads have a 2-0 lead. Ty Collins snipes it once again. First line producing like wildfire.
Yep. Steelheads take Hardy and double blues. Yep.
3-0 lead into the second period. Pruder takes a penalty for cross-checking. Again.
It's Gallo Sheriff Pruder. Honestly,
look, man, love Aiden Pruder, but I mean, come on, stay out of the box.
Oh,
stay out of the box, please.
He knows. Okay, go match. No, he knows. Let's be real here. If this was against Flint, he wouldn't be doing this, because Flint ain't dicky like Niagara is physically. So
exactly. But like, even still, I mean, it was like that didn't really affect the Steelheads at all. James Hardy gets one. Aiden Pruder comes back on the revenge tour and scores.
He does score.
And then that's when Josh Rosenzweig gets pulled. Joey Costanzo goes in, and Owen Beck once again embarrasses him. Top shelf. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Ourselves a game.
Yeah, that's what happened. This is what I'll say, because of course myself and Thomas Zubris have interviewed him for Pro Shop for Joey Costanzo. Great kid. Should be a great goalie in the OHL. I will say, though, personally, as a hockey fan and just looking at Niagara, I'm surprised he's only played a very few little games. Because if you're going to draft a goalie high enough in the second round, because listen, if the goalie is that good in not just in the OHL draft, but the NHL draft or any other top league draft, that goalie will go in the first or second round if they're that good. And Joey Costanzo, at least in my opinion, was the top goalie in the 2021 OHL draft class. He went second round for a reason, but that was his third or fourth game ever, his third or fourth appearance playing an OHL game. So of course stuff like that's going to happen because listen, Beck capitalized on a rookie out of position goalie. But I will say though, and when we'll talk about that throughout as we're talking about this game, especially in the third period, Niagara's defense left Costanzo to dry multiple times.
They definitely didn't help him at all.
No, they didn't. No.
Like you look at the amount of plays that they made where they played good defense in that game. And I'm talking about the Ice Dogs where they played good defense in that game. And there were a couple. That one was absolutely one of them.
That was, that was a prime example of them being
you had
out of their minds
3 defenders trying to check Ethan Del Mastro. 3 defenders on one guy. Like, how are you going to let that happen?
I know Del Mastro is a beast of a physical presence to be around and to guard on the ice, but my goodness,
just completely disorganized. Anyways, so a couple minutes later, Xander Vecchia takes a high sticking penalty. Yikes! You gotta avoid those ones. Aiden Castle, who earlier in the game took a penalty, gets his redemption by scoring the only goal for Niagara.
He's a good player. He's a very good player. But
that he is.
If he was on any other team, he'd be a potential first round pick this year because 12 points in 23 games. That's not really bad. That's not bad, especially given how bad Niagara is. That's not really bad. So when you look at those stats, you could just kind of like add a couple more points to it if you just think, okay, if he was on Oshawa, if he was on Niagara, or London, sorry, Oshawa or London, right? Especially London, So.
Yeah, and then a little while later, Aiden Pruder gets his second of the game. Evan Brand and Max Dodig getting involved on that play. That's 2 unlikely penalty killers, or sorry, 2 unlikely players that you'd see assisting on Pruder's goal, but it was a good one to say the very least.
It was a good one for sure.
Then the third period starts, and this is where things start to go downhill. And oh god,
I thought it was going downhill after Beck scored his second goal. It was 6-0 at that time.
There was a big hit by Jake Uberty. He made 2 hits in the third period that I think he should have been ejected on the first one. Charlie Callahan went after him. He got a 5, a 10, and a 2. 2 for unsportsmanlike conduct, a 5-minute fighting major, and a game misconduct. He was out of the game.
2 for instigating, right? Something like that. Yeah, because they said he instigated it. But
and he was out of the game real quick.
Yeah, he was.
Man, there were so many penalties that happened. Rodwin Denizio got a check from behind. He got 5 in a game. Jake Uberty got a kneeing penalty. Like, again, you got him. Like, when do you see kneeing happen?
Come on.
So
he's not PK Subban. He's not going to flew. He's not going to slew foot someone here. He's not PK Subban. What is this?
Exactly. He got 5 in a game. Cameron Butler he got a game misconduct. So did Max Dodig. It was a big mess in the third period. But yet still the Steelheads scored 2 more goals.
They did.
Xander Vecchia got 1 on the power play, and then Owen Beck, of course, gets his hat trick. You got to love the hats that were raining down from the stands.
I didn't throw my hat. I know you threw your hat, but I didn't throw my hat.
It's tradition, man. You broke tradition.
No, I didn't break anything, man. I didn't break anything. I'm not getting my hat wet on the ice. I'm not doing that.
No, but honestly, like Beck got a hat trick goal, and that was his 11th of the season. Man, I think it was the game of the year, but man, that was a rough.
It was the offensive game of the year. Absolutely. It absolutely
was. A rough third period, though. Like, just watching it as a fan, that was rough. Watching it as a media member, you thought that someone was going to get their head taken off.
I thought so. I thought so at some point.
I could have sworn that Uberty was going to get targeted, but they kept their composure for the most part.
They did keep their composure.
They didn't get overly aggressive. They didn't go too far. They kept their heads on straight, which that's what you like to see. And what was the end result? They ended up getting a 9-1 win. In case you didn't hear us the first 10 times we said it, they ended up getting a 9-1 win over the Niagara Ice Dogs, setting them up for the Teddy Bear Toss game against the Kingston Frontenacs on Sunday afternoon And that one didn't go so well. Let's talk about it.
This is what I'll say.
Kingston scored 5 in the first period.
Yeah, this is what I'll say. I think they underestimated Kingston without Shane Wright. I think that's what happened, especially a red hot Jordan Frasco, who the night before had a hat trick, who would then score another hat trick, even though one of those goals, it went off Owen Beck's glove. Don't worry about it, kid. Listen, a rookie's a rookie at the end of the day, no matter how good they are. A rookie's a rookie. They're still learning things.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even. So it was. He scored 2 legitimate goals for Jordan Frasca, but still he had an incredible game against Mississauga. But I think it was just the case of underestimating your opponent, because as much as Shane Wright is the core of that team, Zaid Wisdom played that game for his first OHL game of the season, coming back from injury after leaving the Philadelphia Flyers organization, right? As they sent him down, right? You know, they already have Lucas Edmonds, who in my opinion is a top 5 player in the OHL. He's been incredible all season. You know, again, Jordan Frasca, right? Their goaltending is not bad. Is it incredible?
No. Played very solid, but I mean, again,
he was solid enough, absolutely, because Mississauga has some firepower, and they only scored 3 times, right, that game.
Yeah, they and all 3 goals were in the third period. So I think that we can get into the goals that happened for Kingston. Jordan Frasca gets the first 2. Lucas Edmonds gets the third one, which was assisted by newly acquired Ben Roger from the London Knights.
He did something, and my goodness, he rarely gets points. That's good for him.
Francesco Arcuri got the 4th one, and then, of course, a first period hat trick for Jordan Frasca. That was rough. Kingston takes a bunch of penalties in the second. None of them materialize until the last 2, I think. In the third period, Aiden Pruder scores on the power play. Zach Lavoie scored on the power play. And, too little too late. Xander Vecchia gets the third goal of the game, putting the Steelheads within 2. But, they can't make the game. They can't make the comeback, I should say. And they lose that one 5-3, which, I mean, hey, it's like you said, they underestimated Kingston, I think, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, you gotta play a little bit harder when you know that a team like that could still be a deadly force.
Absolutely. I will say, though, also, another potential factor into the loss of that, you know what? I think for the first time this year, Bazarin had a shaky start. Yeah. Roman Bazarin did have a shaky start, allowing 3 goals on 10 shots. He was pulled after 9 minutes of play. And then Joe Ranger came in, played very solid. He faced 23 shots, let in 2 goals. That's not bad against a team that specifically in this game has shown full force of being lethal, right? So I think that's just a shaky start for Roman Bazarin, but the best have weird games, top players have weird games, right? Owen Beck isn't going to get a hat trick every game for 5 weeks. Roman Bazarin's not going to get a shutout for he's not going to get a shutout every day for every game for 5 weeks, so you know what, I think it's something for him to shake off. He's still obviously the top goalie on this team, but you know what, he had a bad start, things happen, it is what it is, right? So
there's nothing you can do about it. And I mean, again, you have so many games left in the regular season. Sure, it sucks, it's a kind of a crappy way to lose, but you know what, you've got a lot more games that you can get the wins on. Absolutely. So you know what, overall it was a good weekend, but it could have been a little bit better in the second half of the weekend. So before we do our look ahead, Alex, you know what time it is?
I know what time it is, Tyler.
It's time to talk about our brilliant sponsor for today's video, CW Sports Memorabilia. What if I told you, hold on a second, you like baseball, right?
I do love baseball.
Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, George Springer.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
What about hockey? I know you're a big Rangers fan, right?
I am a big Rangers fan.
What if I told you there's one place that you can get pucks, signed baseball bats, custom photographs, framed jerseys? What if I told you that there's a place where you can get all of that stuff and it is closer than you think?
I think you're lying, Tyler.
Well, I'm not lying to you, man. Because CW Sports Memorabilia offers the biggest amount of sports memorabilia from all different sports around the world. You could get football, soccer, hockey, baseball, you name it. He's got a little bit of something for everybody. It's one of the best places to go and get anything that you like sports memorabilia wise. Plus, he'll even frame your jerseys. And, he also does some custom paintings as well, which are very, very cool and super well done.
Absolutely. CW Sports Memorabilia, great wares. Charles Warburton, great guy, runs a great business. Of course, some of you may know him as the official photographer for the Mississauga Steelheads. He runs a sports memorabilia business on top of his photography business, and he has incredible wares, incredible prices. A great guy to not only talk to, but a great guy to negotiate a deal with on sports memorabilia wares. Again, like Tyler said, he has he has hockey, baseball, football. He has the whole 9 yards, and he's always getting in more stock. A lot more autographs from legends, current players, young players, in the CHL, all those kinds of things. So CW Sports Memorabilia absolutely is the place to go in the Greater Toronto area for fairly priced, great quality sports memorabilia. Absolutely.
And the best part for you, our listener, if you use code ProShot, if you message him with code ProShot, you can save 10% off your first order with CW Sports Memorabilia. And that, my friends, is going to be something very useful. So definitely go check out CW Sports Memorabilia, drop a follow, like him on Facebook, and we will link his stuff down below. It is super amazing, and you should definitely go check him out. Now, let's talk about the look ahead to next week's games. Hamilton, North Bay. It's going to be a tough one.
Hamilton on a Wednesday.
Hamilton on a Wednesday evening. North Bay on a Friday.
I just wanted to say, whoever made up the schedule, I think you're a dumbass. Sorry. A Wednesday game at 7 p.m. Okay, then. Yeah, so Steelheads are in Hamilton night on Hamilton at 7 p.m. A night game in the middle of the week against Jorian Donovan, Nathan Steos, and the Hamilton Bulldogs. Of course, as we're taping this, Hamilton just lost the Grey Cup. That's probably because Hamilton sucks at sports. But nonetheless, Mississauga. Sorry, Hamilton fans, but sorry.
We had to throw a little bit of shade at the Ticats.
Nah, we did. I'm not even. I don't follow the CFL. I don't particularly care about the CFL, but I just think that's funny that they lost at their home field. Okay, so Mississauga against Hamilton Wednesday, 7 p.m. December 15th. Yeah, I would think Mississauga would win that realistically with the firepower that they have. I will say
faced all too well or all too much.
That is true. They faced them way too much. So I think Hamilton knows Saga pretty well, and Saga knows Hamilton pretty well. I think the Achilles heel just could be Hamilton's back end because they have a very solid back end.
Yes.
Of course,
and Marco Constantini, I think their goaltender.
Marco Constantini has been one of the better goalies in the OHL this year. Absolutely. Jorian Donovan is starting to pick up the pace in terms of in terms of all sides of his play, it's offense and defense. And I'm a big Jorian Donovan fan. So you know what? I think it could really go any other way. I think Mississauga has the firepower to beat Hamilton, but it just depends on how good Hamilton's defense is that night. So I don't feel confident saying who's going to win yet. I think it's too close to call as of right now, at least.
Yeah, I think I think this might be one of the toughest weeks that we've seen in a while because, of course, you got the Hamilton Bulldogs who are just the last 3 games they've been playing pretty solid.
Yep.
And then, of course, on Friday night, you got the North Bay Battalion who have been the Steelheads Achilles heel basically the entire season.
They've been scrappy. Yeah.
Every time we face the North Bay Battalion, they've either beaten us or made it very difficult to win.
Yeah.
I think that this game is going to be a little bit difficult if they don't get an early lead.
Yeah, I agree. And Joe Verbetich, I'm not the biggest fan of Joe Verbetich, for those who know me. But he's been, as of the past 2-3 weeks, he's been playing some pretty darn good hockey. So you combine a goalie who can make a really good quality save and his size, because how tall is he, Tyler? Like 6'6"?
6'6", yep.
6'6". That's terrifying to think about.
That's Ben Bishop.
It's like Ben Bishop. Also, shout out to Ben Bishop. What a career. Yeah. So you know what? I think Saga is going to win. But like you said, Tyler, North Bay will definitely make it difficult to do that. I'm excited though, because this will be my first chance to physically see Ty Nelson play. So
Exactly.
I'm thrilled about that because, again, those who know me, I'm really high on him. I think he's arguably the best defensive prospect in the 2022 NHL draft. So that's going to be fun to watch. I think the chances of Mississauga winning this game compared to the Hamilton game are higher. I think Mississauga takes this one, but of course, North Bay is not going to let up easy. They're pretty scrappy. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you don't get a lead early on that team, they'll turn around and they'll capitalize.
Oh, absolutely.
And they'll get those opportunities before you can, and then they're going to make it very difficult to come back. So I think that the key to the game for them there is just, play your game, get an early lead, and keep the lead for the game. That's their very simple key to win.
Perfectly said.
Shut down. You know what? The only people you really need to worry about shutting down is Hamilton.
I agree.
Because they have a really tough defense and a solid goaltender. North Bay's got a really solid goaltender and a solid offense.
But they don't really have great defense.
Yeah. So, I mean,
except for Ty Nelson. Except for Ty Nelson. That
if
kid
you can get in their heads early and shut them down, I think you've got a good shot at winning the game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wrap it up for this one. We are going to have a lot to talk about next week. Hopefully, maybe some big 4-point wins, possibly.
I hope
2
that'd be fun.
Each.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and hopefully we're going to have our first cast segment debuting on Inside the Tank. So this is going to be a fun one.
It should be. Absolutely, man.
Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification for all new content, and follow us on our social media below. Thank you very much for listening. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and be kind to one another. I'm Tyler Rains, along with my co-host Alex Fortadall, and we'll see you next time.